Hello, it's Thursday, the 26th of October, and I have a 2-card tarot reading for you. Now, I'm using the same pack as yesterday. I was quite struck by the fact that the moon came out, and sometimes when the major cards come out, there's a real big message going on about where we are in our lives. So, yeah, I just thought we'd stick with this pack and see what comes out. Okay, that's our first card, and that's our second card. Interesting choices. We've got the 8 of Swords and we've got the 6 of Pentacles. I feel like I want to ask, which one of these ladies do you more feel like today? Are you the 8 of Swords? Are you all tied up with your thoughts and lots of different opinions and just things going on in your head or whirling around your head and you don't feel like you can escape? Or do you feel like, I feel like this 6 of Pentacles is very much about starting again, maybe in a financial sense, or just starting to stand on your own 2 feet maybe. And that can be starting a business up, starting a project up. You might have suddenly changed your circumstances and be living on your own. But I do feel that there's kind of 2 sides to both of these cards that we don't necessarily see. Okay, so let's look at this one first. The 8 of Swords. Now remember, we're moving up to this big eclipse on the 28th, so Saturday. And we're being really urged to move forward in our lives, take the path that we need to take to, our soul path. So if you're feeling like this, you might not feel that applies to you. But have a look at how easily it actually would be for this lady to get out of this. I mean, firstly, if she just shouted and made a bit of a noise, probably some of those crows would be scared off. Okay. She could easily shimmy out of those because one of her hands is free there. So she could easily get herself out of those ties. And of course, the swords are around her, but she could easily pick one of them up, move them out the way, get out the way. There's a million reasons why this lady doesn't need to be in this position. And actually, if she had a clear, rational thought in her head, she would realise that, okay? How many times do we literally let our minds run riot? I know we talked about emotions and not being in control of our emotions, but sometimes it's like the thoughts going around in your head consume you and it actually makes you feel very stuck. And someone explained to me, thoughts are like clouds and we are the sky. They can pass or they can linger or they can just rain down on us. But really, they're not us. They are just things that are coming in and out of our consciousness. And recently, actually, I've really learned to stop and almost like have a bouncer on the door of my mind and decide what I want to think about and why, because it can lead us to feeling quite down, can't it, and quite fed up with ourselves if we allow every thought in our head house room. So I feel like that is the message of this card. You may well be thinking that you're in this situation, but it is thinking it. It may actually not be true. There may be another way. There might be better thoughts that can get you out of that situation. But the thing I said to you about both of these cards, there's something about it you haven't seen. The 8 are all about empowerment. The 8s are about the fact that we're in touching sight of the end of our cycle. And I feel like this is the last challenge that we need to get through. Almost as if perhaps in particular relationships or something, you've put in boundaries and you've done an awful lot of work to look after yourself and protect yourself. And then it's like the universe gives you an even worse situation, maybe with the same person or, the same job or whatever. You think, oh, I'm back here again. But then you suddenly feel, no, I'm not back here again because I'm thinking differently now and this isn't going to be a problem. So it's that opportunity to empower yourself and break free of this returning cycle of either thoughts or, we kind of do, don't we? We in our lives, sometimes we do play the same play the same thing out, roll out over and over again until we go, no, no more. That's the wonderful thing. Well, is it wonderful? The universe kind of keeps putting us on the same cycle until we learn to break it. And that is what this card is about. Learning finally to break this cycle that keeps you chained, keeps you back, keeps you from being the person that you really, really need to be. Okay, so there's a real amount of strength being offered with this card, mental strength and clarity that you wouldn't necessarily see when you first look at it, but you're in a stronger position than maybe you think you are. So what's different about this card? Well, this card is the Six of Pentacles. And this card is the card of, you know, this lady's very self-sufficient. She's picking fruits from the forest, which suggests she hasn't got an awful lot. You know, there's people around helping her. There's the birds depicted here, but it can be people helping. What we don't see is the timeline of this. So we've just come from the Five of Pentacles. We've just come from a huge change, maybe a loss in some way, loss of, you know, material things. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe you've taken a different job to follow your path, but it's less money. Maybe your relationship has meant that you've had to change things and, you know, having to have a little bit less around you. So we're not seeing the loss and the hardship that's come before this. We're seeing the next step, the fact of kind of picking ourselves up, perhaps getting a little bit of help and moving on to a path that's more in line with our soul. Okay, but as I say, what we don't see here is the changes and the upheavals that have happened beforehand. And with here, what we don't see is the strength. And that's it's very interesting, actually, because sometimes we can look at other people and not know their backstory or not know what they're really, where they're heading in life. And I think that's an interesting point, really. You never really know what's going on with somebody's life. They may be like this, but just about to break free from some really limited circumstances. But you meet them and you're like, oh my God, they're crazy. There's so much going on. Or they may be just really happy with themselves and content, but have just come from a really turbulent kind of time in their life. So, you know, that can be you as well. I think it's about acknowledging where you are today and where you've come from and where you want to go. So it's a pause for reflection, but also to put ourselves in order with our mind, our mental thought processes, and also just, keeping in check with, all right, I maybe have to be a little bit more careful now financially, maybe haven't got as much as I used to have. However, I know I'm feeling good because I know I'm on the right path to where I want to go. So it's a kind of gratitude, bit of being having a bit of gratitude here, that you know that you're going in the right direction, and the fact that you have got the strength to cut ties with anything that is not serving you to get to where you need to be. And this is going to be a really big theme. I feel it leading up to these next few days because, you know, as I say, we've got this big lunar eclipse looming. So I'll be very interested to see what spirit animal cards come out for us tomorrow. Please do join me. It's lovely to see you all, and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.